culture here that we can introduce to you all from here, from Spain. And I immediately thought of my great friend Antonio Serrano, who is one of the greatest flamenco jazz musicians. And we've played together before. He's played on our series here, and Antonio plays everywhere around the world. He was together with Paco de Lucia, if that name means anything to you, one of the greatest guitarists of all time, touring the whole world. And now Antonio also lectures around the world about flamenco jazz. And he's actually brought tonight a lecture that he gave at the Berkeley School last year, right? Or something, 2 years ago. And so I hope you find it, I know you'll find it extremely interesting and entertaining. Antonio is a great virtuoso, and I haven't said which instrument he's playing, but you'll see in a minute. And he brought his friend Jose Campagna with him to enhance the masterclass. So enjoy. Thank you. Antonio.
To this one in Berkeley, but that was for jazz musicians. So I had to kind of adjust it a little bit, because I know you're all classical musicians. So I've done my best to try and translate, let's use that word, the language into a musical language that we can all understand. Okay, so basically. The word flamenco jazz refers to a sub-genre of music. It's sub-genre quite small, like we have on one side flamenco, which is really big, jazz is really big, and the art or the skill of mixing and combining them together, that's what we call flamenco jazz. So I'm going to start playing. Maybe you can help me to pass the slides. Just as a guide, yeah, okay. So what is flamenco jazz? As I told you, it's a subgenre, and basically it comes from the skill of mixing both flamenco jazz, and there are not hundreds of representatives of the style of music, but there are a few that, if you are interested in this kind of music, you should check out. And there's a list. There's quite a representative list there. Like Pedro Iturralde, he was more a jazz musician than a flamenco musician, but he was actually like the first musician to pay attention, the first jazz musician to pay attention to flamenco and to try and understand it and try to mix it together. Then we have Paco de Lucia, of course. He was on the other side. He was a pure flamenco musician, and he started to focus on jazz. He realized that jazz musicians were very important in his time, mid-20th century. So he looked it up. He actually went to the States, played with jazz musicians, made an effort to understand music, to understand that music. And there's a lot of the jazz language in his music, although he's like one of the major, let's say, flamenco guitarists of all times. And yeah, it's interesting because we're talking about people that make an effort to understand another style of music, and this makes me think of something that has been said for ages, and is that, thank you, and is that that music is like a universal language, and I don't agree at all with that. It's like I've seen so many times very good musicians not be able to understand between each other. And that's just not true. Music is very dependent on the culture and Like, so you really got, if you want to get into another field, you really have to make an effort to understand it. And sometimes you have to even have an attitude more like a beginner, an absolute beginner. No? Sometimes when we are already very good at something, we tend to presume that we're not going to start from the beginning if we get into jazz or we get into flamenco. But the reality is that in some things you're going to start really from the beginning. So it's nice to be humble if we want to move to something else. No? I started in classical music, and the first, let's say, jump I tried to make was to get into blues and jazz, and I was when I was like 13, 14, 15, I was pretty good at my instrument, at the harmonica, and I kind of thought that I knew everything. And when I started hanging with jazz musicians, and I realized that I was a complete beginner. No? So it's good for you guys that I'm sure you're all like amazing in your instruments and your in classical music. If you want to get in. Basically percussion player, mainly percussion player, but he also plays guitar. He knows a lot about music, and yeah, he's produced a lot of flamenco musicians trying to cross over to other styles, like modern flamenco, let's say. Chano is one of the first, if not the first, like a piano player in flamenco. Because the main instrument, the main harmonic instrument in flamenco is the guitar. So Chano was like a surprise for everybody when he started playing like flamenco licks and stuff, flamenco music on that instrument. Javier Colina, he's a very versatile bass player, and you probably won't find many records on his name because he doesn't make many records as a leader. But any record you find where he plays the bass, you have to trust. It's a good record for sure. He's an amazing bass player. Antonio Serrano, well, he's the guy speaking to you right now. Jose Carmona, he comes mainly from flamenco, but he made like a move to commercial music many years ago with a band that had a lot of success in Spain. It was called Ketama. It's going to sound more like pop, flamenco pop, or flamenco Latin music. But he developed a career as a band leader and a pop. This guy is kind of a pop star. But when this band finished, he started focusing more in jazz, and he started playing with jazz musicians, and I play a lot with him we train, when we practice very hard to be able to make music, we forget sometimes that listening is also very important. And this guy, he has amazing ears. El Bola is not a great guitar player. Diego Amador is a very, very special guy also. He's multi-instrumentalist. He plays the bass, the electric bass, amazing. He plays the piano really good, the guitar. He has a wonderful voice. He's great too. And Perico, he's from Valencia, but he's an amazing jazz musician that also paid some attention to flamenco. And he's played with Gerardo Núñez, which is one of the major also guitar players in the history of flamenco. So, well, this is not actually what we wanted to talk about. Now you know a little bit about the guys. So, okay, I think one of the most important things when we want to kind of mix things up and get into other fields and start like making fusion between different styles is that we're gonna try and understand each style separately first. Okay, I think it's a big mistake when we are very good at something and say, oh, I like. Imagine you're very good at classical music, and now you hear some flamenco and say, oh, it would be great to kind of put some of this flamenco in my classical playing that. So you probably, I don't know, you just superficially go in and listen to a few things. You look up in Wikipedia what flamenco is about, and then you think you have an idea of what it is. And then you might get so I'm going to play this Bach, but with a flamenco rhythm. But this is kind of very superficial, and I think if you really want to get into mixing up things, you got to try and get deep in understanding each style of music. And I think there are like three main elements that kind of every music shares this kind of music. Unless, I don't know, for example, Indian ragas and stuff, there's no harmony there, okay. And there's probably in tango music you won't find percussion instruments, and there are some exceptions, but more or less, I think in every music you have these three elements, no, which are melody, rhythm, and harmony. So I want to give a small explanation of how I see these three elements in the two styles that we're talking about, no? In jazz and in flamenco. So, okay, let's start with flamenco, which is probably more exotic and mysterious for you, know? So what do we have in the rhythm of flamenco? So we have some exotic, like 12-beat rhythms that we will explain a little bit later. We have some binary, like 2/4 or 4/4 rhythms, which sometimes sound a little bit Latin. We have some regular, like 3/4, like we would say a waltz, but not exactly. But they have some odd accents that make it not sound like a waltz. And then we have some 6/8s, but also in the Afro kind of 6/8, okay? Not exactly a 6/8 that you're probably familiar with. Then, about the melody, the scale that makes actually the music sound flamenco is because it's what we call the modal music. It's not based on the major or the minor mode, but it's based on the third mode of the major scale, which is the Phrygian mode. And I will show you on the piano how this sounds. Like if we are in C major, if we start from the E, that's where flamenco is based. Okay, that's like their root. That's their one. That's their tonic. But there's no dominant there because there's no, on the 5,
on the 5, sorry, well, it's not a 5, but on the main chord, which is actually a dominant, it's like in the blues that the 1 is the dominant chord. There's no major third, so they make it major. So they majorize the scale. And the characteristic sound of flamenco is actually the minor second that there is between the first grade and the second. No? That's actually the characteristic of flamenco. And then harmonically, the progression that it's most of the time dominating is what we call the Spanish cadence, which is going from the 6, from the A down to the E. Okay, so it would be like A minor, G, F, and E major. Can you show that on with actually flamenco voicings on the guitar? Igual puedes tocar un poco algo de soleá, así que se escuchen los acordes. Beautiful. We will talk about that rhythm later because that's one of the tricky ones. That's called a soleá. It's actually there. So that's more or less, very, very briefly, what the elements are in flamenco music. And about jazz, okay, jazz is one of the major musics of it. It's very difficult to make a summary, a very short summary, but let's say that the swing is the most characteristic rhythm. There are also some rhythms that come from New Orleans that remind more of the African percussion, and that let's say the subdivision is more binary, okay? Because in the swing, it's like everything is divided in 3. It's like ding, 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 ding. There's always a daga, da, daga, da, daga, da, daga, da, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Every beat is it's like ternario, we say in Spanish. Ternary, I don't know how to say in English. Okay, so that's basically the characteristic of the rhythm in jazz. Then about the melody, we can say that they use all kinds of scales. There's a lot done with the major and the minor modes, but the most characteristic thing is probably the blues pentatonic scales. That's very, very, very unique from jazz, and also the fact that they started using the synthetic modes, no? Like, you've probably heard those, when I say synthetic mode, I mean that they don't come from the past, they don't come from the major scale or anything, but they're kind of invented with like a formula, no? Like for example, this scale. No. That's the 8. It's 8 notes, and it's made from the formula that said you have to put one tone and one semitone, and then repeat that pattern. Okay, so it's one tone, semitone, tone, semitone, tone, semitone, and from there, lots of chords and things come out. Also, the whole tone scale. Okay, the augmented scale. Yeah, those are what we call synthetic modes, and I think they actually come from the Impressionism in classical music, because jazz musicians, they looked a lot at classical music from all the ages, and they were especially interested in Debussy, Ravel, and all those French Impressionists. And there are lots of chords actually that are that sound very, very jazzy, that come from those scales. For example, there's one that I like very much, which is like a 7th chord with a flat 9 and a natural 13. That's very jazzy. Like this. All that comes from the synthetic mode, no? Or this, for example. And then the blues scales, it's actually the pentatonic scales. It's 5 notes like the ones from China. But they add what they call the blue note. That makes it sound blues, no? Okay, so basically, that's thank you. That's a kind of a brief explanation of how to make something sound jazzy. So now let's get a little bit deeper in flamenco, which is probably you're probably more interested in that. And I think the rhythmic element in flamenco is like more developed and bigger than in jazz. In jazz, we have like 2 or 3 rhythms, and then it's just like faster or slower. But there are not so many different kinds of rhythms. In flamenco, we find some interesting rhythms, and we have Jose that he's going to illustrate them with his guitar. I like to start with the fandangos because, well, first I would like to say that all these rhythms and the different styles in flamenco, they are called palos. Okay, palos. Palo is a stick. It's a okay. No te entiendo. Ah, bueno. Vale, ahora. Sí, vamos a tocar. Yeah, you don't like how I speak, no? You want me to hear play, no? Speak or play? No, I'm trying to explain. I don't know. No sé, que no entiendo nada. ¿Qué hago? ¿Toco? Venga, vale, pues vamos a tocar un poco. Vale, ok. La armónica, ¿no? Ok. Pues es que no sé qué hacer, se me ha cortado el rollo, macho.
La técnica, ¿no? Que ve un poquito la técnica, ¿no?
A ver, ¿qué podemos hacer? It's not the moment to play, sorry. I'm sorry. It's the moment to finish this. A ver. Okay, so Fandango is a rhythm in 3/4, okay? But it has some particular accents. So, can you play a little bit Fandango? Yeah. That's here, okay? See it? Tra. Tra. So, something that is very unique from flamenco is the palmas percussion, okay? And if you do the palmas, you have to do the accent like here. That's right, let's do it together. Venga. Pom, pom, pam, ta-da, chicka, pom. And if you follow here, this is the harmony. Mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, tra, mi, fa, sol, fa, mi, tra. Okay, so that's basically like, that would be like the basic compass, the basic groove in Fandango. Okay, now let's move into something a little bit more mysterious, which is the soleá. Okay, the soleá is one of these 12-beat exotic rhythms, and we kind of write it like this, no? Like we write it 3, 3, 2, 2, 2, and the accents are here. So let's hear a little bit of the. Haz un poquito, pero solo el compás. Yeah. Con acordes. Taca, 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 let's do it. Taca, 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 ta, bam. Okay, and in flamenco, there's very good. In flamenco, there's also always a thing that we call cierre, which is like the closing, and it's a place in the groove that we have to finish. All the phrases have to finish there. Okay, and in fandangos it would be here, and in soleá it would be here. And they actually count it in a very strange way. They start counting from here. They don't start counting from here, actually. They start counting from here. Say, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And sometimes in this rhythm, when they play instrumental, something really mysterious happens, and it's that they start playing like a waltz. They start playing like a waltz from here, which really kind of makes a very interesting contrast between the beats and the harmony. And they start playing sometimes. But it's all kind of out of rhythm, no? I thought it was so. So if you hear something that is kind of out, it's in but out, it's because they've actually entered this tunnel. I call this like a tunnel, no? And eventually they will come out and they will start doing like the more logical thing that you see up here. Okay? And yeah, let's say that what we've just seen here in the Soleá, everything's all right? Eh?
Yeah, I wanted to ask.
Yes.
I wanted to ask, so when they get into this tunnel, then the accents are not relevant already? Or?
Yes, they're still there.
Okay.
Actually, they do. Tan 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 tri tan. You see there? Let's say tan 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 tri da don tan don tran don. No. And here, sometimes they do the accent here, like
Okay,
here. In the old days, they used to do it here. It used to be like 1 2 3 1 2 3 1 2 1 2 1 2. But actually, Paco de Lucia, I think he was the first to actually move this accent from here to here, because he had like his mind really open to the world, and he wanted to find like the clave for flamenco, because there was a clave for the Cuban music, no? Ga, 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 ga. And it always has like a like long spaces, ta, ta, ga, 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 and then short. So he wanted to make that. He wanted to actually make the flamenco clave. So he moved this accent here. So he kind of has it. So it's his try of making a clave, but it actually continued to be used, and now most of the people like count it like that. But what you were saying is interesting. Even the harmony is doing this like a waltz. They actually continue doing those accents. Like they do dan 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 tri da don dan don tra do dan tin dan tron kadri. Eh? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Sí, ahí, ese acento, por ejemplo, cuando dices tan, can, can, tri, da, don, tan, ton, tran, ahí le das ahí, ¿no? En el 6.
Sí.
Ahí das al 6,
Lo
¿no?
que pasa es que en esta parte también sería en el 9.
6, 7, 8, tran, tran. Vale. So they move this one also, dice tan, ton, tan, tri, da, don, tan, ton, tran, do, dan, ton, tan, tran, ta, dan. So they move that one too. I mean, that's a very, that's like a simplification of a very big simplification of a lot of things. But actually, if you pay attention, after knowing that this exists, if you pay attention, you will actually recognize it. You know, it took me a lot of years to know that was happening, because nobody explained me that was going on. I mean, actually, sometimes I was keeping the beat, and they started playing like everything was moved, and I said, but what's happening here, you know? So it's like everything, nothing had sense, but made sense, but and eventually, boom, everything came back together. It took me a while to figure out what was going on, but now that you know that's like that, when you listen to a Soleá, for example, many times they're going to start, like 100% of the times, they're going to start here. They're going to start to play here, even if they are here, right? Like if I tell the guy, play Soleá, he's going to start, taca, 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 tran. and that's going to be taca 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 tran. He's not going to start here. Okay, they're going to start taca 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 tran. No? So that's something that you have to know, that it's like a Nana Cruz. No? This is like a Nana Cruz. It's like, actually, I was talking to a very good musician today, and we were discussing that maybe the Soleá should be written from here, you know, like this is as a Nana Cruz, and that would be like the first beat, bam, you know, and put this bar like here, and yeah, I have a few arrangements where I do that, where I've written it like that, and it actually works nicely. Yeah, and the bulerías is the same, but faster. Okay, and the alegrías is the same, but faster and in a major key. Toca un poquito por alegrías. So that's fine. 1. Okay, and bulerías will be, yeah. Maybe this is a nice moment to play something, because we're going to play some bulerías for you. So maybe this is a good moment to play some bulerías. We're gonna play like a Latin American song, okay? But we're gonna play it in a bulería rhythm. Okay? So this is kind of mixing things up a little bit. So the song is in 4/4, okay? The song is originally in 4/4. It's something like, what am I doing? Ba da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. Ba da di 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 da 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 do 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 di da 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 da. It's like a very standard kind of composition, okay? And we're gonna do it like in bulería, which would be like da 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 da. Ba da 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 da. Daga daga diga da 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 do dia da 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 do do. Diga 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 pa. Vámonos. rhythm that's called tangos, which was actually the next on the list. And that is a kind of a regular 4/4, the original traditional way of playing tangos. Maybe you can show us. Toca un poquito así por compás por tango. The palmas will be like this. Not that. Yeah, but this one's like soft. The first one is like soft. Look, yeah. Yeah. Pa 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 no. Pa pa. This one is in Polish. Eso. Like if you go into a fiesta, if you go into a fiesta, flamenco fiesta, and you do, they will know that you're a tourist. They will know you're a tourist. You know? Like this note is the one that makes the difference between a tourist and the. No, believe me. I've seen so many things. ¿Verdad? They will know you're not in there. Venga. Look, there are two sounds in palmas, okay? There's this one like this. Yeah, that's it. This, it's called a palma sorda. Sorda is like deaf, like a deaf palma. And this is abierta, open. Okay? So normally, when there's a singer or when somebody's singing, normally it's sorda. And then when the music gets loud, then you start. But it's always also in the fiestas and in the parties and stuff. It's better always, if you're not very much into it, just do this. Doesn't matter what the rest of the guys do. Because if you do it like this, you're not gonna bother anybody. Very soft, very soft. Hey. Ole. quedar, soltera te va a quedar, soltera te va a quedar. Venga, dale por ahí.
Soltera te va a quedar, soltera te va a quedar, soltera te va a quedar. Ay, llora, ay, llora, ay, llora, ay, llora, ay, llora, con la orilla del mar, que yo no viene a llorar.
Thank you very much. And actually, we only have like 2 more major rhythms, like say, because all of these rhythms, they divide into sub-rhythms and sub-styles. There's something very, very unique of flamenco, and it's that, for example, fandangos. Maybe there are, how many fandangos? Different fandangos. ¿Cuántos fandangos diferentes puede haber?
En las rítmicas son iguales, pero fandangos diferentes, no sé.
200, 300.
En cada provincia, en la provincia de Huelva, en cada localidad.
Like in each region of Spain, they have like, I don't know, tens of different fandangos, no? And maybe the rhythm is the same, but the harmony changes a little bit, the melody changes a little bit. It's like there are styles of music, and each style they refer to one song, something that somebody recorded at some point in history of the music. It's very unique, and like the singers, they have to learn so many different styles that it's very demanding, very complicated. So we only have left like tanguillos, which is this 6/8 I was talking about at the beginning, and maybe you can show us an example of that. It's a very happy kind of rhythm. It comes from Cádiz, from the deep south of Spain. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1. Yeah. ¡Qué fatiga! Ole. Yeah, this is it's difficult. The palma is difficult. It's very fast, but there's actually a pattern for two players. But it's quite interesting, quite unique, and this is something also that Paco de Lucia discovered. He was in a small town somewhere in the south, in Andalusia, and he saw an old lady. She was there was somebody singing, and she was just tapping on the table, but she was actually tapping with the left hand this and with the right hand this, and yeah, I mean, she was not a professional musician or anything. She was just in the bar, you know. Somebody was singing tanguillos, and the woman that was like that, doing that. And Paco liked it so much. He said, man, it's like the best flamenco, it's the best tanguillo pattern I've ever heard in my life. So he actually remembered it, and then when he got home, he recorded it. And it's very interesting because it's somebody's doing like, haz compás, solo compás, despacito, más despacio, un poquito más rápido. Okay, somebody's doing like, pa, 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 pa. Yeah, but tranquilo, so. Like, there's slight accent on the second one. Okay, so it's like, da, 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 da. And the other one is doing, ka, 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 ka. Yeah. Yeah. Ga go boom, ga go boom, ga go boom, ga go boom, boom. Yeah, so if like two do it like really precise, let's try to do it, you and me. A ver, vamos a intentar hacerlo tuyo. Haz la tum, ta, tum, tum, ta, tum, tum, ta, tum, tum. Yeah, it actually grooves a lot. And that woman, she could do it by herself, you know, like, it's pretty tough. If you know any percussion players, tell them to try and play it. They will freak out. Yeah, and the last rhythm I wanted to just slightly show you is seguirillas. It's probably one of the deepest kind of palos, and they always, the songs that they sing, you know, the lyrics, they're always like very sad, and they talk about death and very, very sad things, you know. And actually, it's a kind of style that you don't hear very much. You don't hear very much. Then there's the dancing version, which is a little bit more live, a little bit more up. It really goes really fast. It starts very slow, but then it really goes really fast, and it becomes something a little bit more happy. But it's something that you probably won't hear very much in a flamenco show, probably. You know? And yeah, it's actually also a 12-beat rhythm, but everything is in another place, right? It's more like 2, 2, 3, 3, 2. And they actually count it like this: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They think they're playing in 5. They say it's not 5, actually, it's 12. But they like to count it like that. And that's the progression. Again, the Spanish cadence. Tron, 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 tron. ¿Tienes alguna faltilla por ahí? Okay. I don't know how much time do we have left. Is it?
If you play something, we will stay here the whole night.
No, because yeah, we play like one more song, and if we want, I have actually some stuff that I can play to you there if you want to hear later, like examples of the different rhythms by musicians that have actually mixed those palos with other things. But we're gonna play some bulerias, but now he's gonna play some of his own compositions, and then we're gonna play a few bulerias by Paco Lucia. There's something very very interesting, very unique from flamenco music, and it's that the songs, what you might perceive as a song or as a track in a record or in a show, it's actually made up of lots of small things. It's like a collage, okay? And the different parts that they actually put together are either small instrumental parts, somebody singing, which it doesn't have to be a whole song. It can be probably like a small poem, kind of poem, right? Like 3 verses or something like that. Then there could be some dancing. There could be a few bars where somebody plays chords and somebody improvises on that. Then another instrumental part. And the instrumental parts, they have a name. They're called falsetas. And they are compositions, actually. They are small compositions, 30 seconds, one minute maximum. And they kind of build up in tension. And then they finish in one of those like strong beats. And then everything goes down again. And actually, it's very interesting that normally, now it's kind of changing, but for many, many years, guitar players had to have their own falsetas. Like they couldn't just come up and play somebody else's falseta. No? So that's very interesting because it kind of forces every guitar player to come up with their own thing. It doesn't have to be excellent, but it's yours, no? And you kind of have to show something that you've done. No? I think this is changing a little bit, and now there are lots of guitar players that they don't actually make their own falsetas, but it's been a tradition for many years, no? And for all the history of the flamenco guitar, and yeah, that's something quite unique of flamenco. No? So he's going to start with some of his falsetas, and then we're going to go into some Paco de Lucia stuff. Again, Jose Campaña on the guitar.